How's it going, guys? What of course you'll be seeing today is a breakdown and review of the raid machine gun in Destiny called Harrowed Qullim's Terminus. The weapon has a chance to drop from the War Priest section of the Taken King raid and can drop anywhere between 310 to 320 if you're doing hard mode, and the normal mode version can drop between 300 to 310. Statistically, the fire rate is 66%, it has an impact rating of 53%, a range of 15, a stability rating of 60, a reload percentage of 16, and a starting magazine size of 42. The weapon card, just as a side note, is wrong because it listed at 52, but it's actually only 42. So looking at the preliminary stats and not even addressing the perks yet, it hits extremely hard per shot because its impact of 53 is through the roof. The fire rate for such a high impact weapon is quite high at 66% as well, and a 60% stability is fantastic. So already it's off to a fantastic start in terms of overall potential. But as I'm going to get to in a second, there are some drawbacks. The reload is atrocious at 16%. It's the clear elephant in the room with regard to this weapon. The range is also considerably low as well, only listed at 16%. But it does come with that high impact machine gun archetype, and the high stability lets you hit opponents at medium range as long as you're a good shot. So it's not a huge concern, and looking at a range of 15, you shouldn't immediately be put off by it. In terms of PvP damage output, it hits for 50 on body shots and 62 on headshots. With regard to the skill tree, all Harrowed Qullim's Terminuses are the same minus a perk because they're raid weapons. They all deal solar damage. You have an always active perk on called Will of Light, which causes increased damage to taken enemies. You have three clear options in terms of ballistics. Linear Compensator, which increases reload but makes it more predictable, which increases recoil but makes that recoil more predictable. And it also buffs range and impact. Accurized Ballistics, which increases range and impact but also recoil, and Field Choke, which does the exact same thing as Accurized Ballistics. And for that reason, my choice is Linear Compensator because of the predictability in the recoil and the buff to range and impact. It just makes predictable recoil, makes the weapon easier to use. When breaking down the skill tree further, the first perk is called Cocoon, which reloads the weapon when you switch weapons for about 5 to 6 seconds. This is especially useful in raid situations where you want to prioritize DPS instead of reloading weapons. The next three perks which you'll have a choice over are Extended Magazine, which increases the magazine size from 31 to 42. Lightweight, which dramatically increases character agility, and Small Bore, which increases range and stability, but slows down your reload even further, which is already atrocious, and it drops your magazine size down from 42 to 31. I tend to prefer Small Bore anyway, because range and stability are the two perks you want as high as possible, and I plan on usually taking Cocoon to as big advantage as I possibly can when using this weapon. I do not want to reload this weapon manually. The last perk, which is random and can come with many roles for raid weapons, mine happened to come with Life Leech, which starts reloading health when you get 3 quick kills. In endgame content, this really does help you more than you'd think. If you're low on health using a primary, quick switch to the Terminus, mow down 3 enemies, and you'll start regenerating health. And in the process, if you've had your weapon out for about 5-6 seconds and you're using a raid primary, your raid primary will be reloaded as well. You could definitely find a worse perk, although it's not the best. With regard to my overall impressions in PvE, I absolutely love this machine gun. It shreds all mobs without even breaking a sweat, and even takes down some of the toughest of the majors in the Taken King quite easily, especially in the War Priest encounter. It has a decent mag size, and it hits extremely hard per shot, keeping enemies staggered. The one weakness it has, as I've mentioned a few times now, is the atrocious reload speed, but take full advantage of the Cocoon perk and you've neutralized that weakness completely. It's a monster here. In PvP, it's more the same. It's a close to medium range monster. About 4 headshots and enemies drop, and you're given 60 rounds to deal with every time you pick up a heavy drop in the Crucible. As long as you monitor your range, I regularly go on 5 to 10 kill streaks with this weapon if I sit in medium range and I allow the enemy to come towards me. Do not engage in longer range encounters because you'll be wasting rounds because the weapon's just not accurate at that range, and because you won't reliably hit your enemy, and because a lot of the time most guys with rockets on a heavy drop will probably wait for you to try and push them. So wait it out, stick in medium range, do what's good for the weapon. So overall in PvE and PvP, it's easily one of the best weapons in the game, and a welcome addition one to me. It's one of the better heavy weapons. Just take full advantage of the cocoon perk, otherwise you'll be dead before the weapon has a chance to reload. See you later.